Welcome to Below the 49th, my personal pulse of the United States of America, my neighbor to the south, below the 49th. I'm Michael A. Charmont. Today's title, Kamala and Amy, the real deal. Dear Democrats, is it really productive to hide Joe Biden in the basement to do those daily blogs? I understand that it's tough reading large printed text on whiteboards and plagued by loud Canadian geese, Canada apologizes, battling with tough-fitting aviator glasses when you're doing your Top Gun entrance, then a phantom cell phone call rings in your attempt to put a sentence together. All this while, a mysterious neighbor visits and walks in and out of your live background shot. That's William Shatner. You know, in the hopes that the signal doesn't freeze again. I mean, come on, what a mess. I mean, it's literally embarrassing to think that this is what is supposed to be representative of the potential leader of the free world, his podcast. I mean, Democrats, is that really the best you got? I mean, poor Biden, valiantly doing his duty to serve his party and his country. Is this the man who represents the standard bearer of today's Democratic Party, prepared to challenge and debate the president? A debate. Remember what happened in the Nixon debate with Kennedy on TV? That's basically what Democrats are setting you up for here, Mr. Biden. Biden-Trump debate reminds me of Raiders of the Lost Ark movie trailer. You know, the one where the guy jumps out with a big knife, waving it around, threatening and genuflecting with great poise and ferocity, you know, showing the dangerous potential and prowess of a knife-wielding challenger. Then the opponent takes a gun out and simply shoots him. I mean, the message here is don't bring a knife to a gunfight. I mean, if you think Joe Biden is electable after a debate with Donald Trump, Houston, we got a problem here, and that's another good movie. Can you see how sad it is that the Democrats continue to prop up this poor guy as a Democratic presidential candidate? It's obvious to me and many, many others that Joe Biden doesn't have it all together. Sadly, it's vividly obvious. Great guy, great service, but this just ain't happening. So again, Democrats, is that really all you got? I mean, some media outlets, they said that President Obama has to step up his comments to change the focus off Biden. Really? Obama must refocus the Democratic message? So who's really running here again? I mean, currently Obama at least has some residual respect and he can put a sentence together. But that'll only last so long. The media further hints that the vice president position will actually be the real president moving forward, as there's a legitimate doubt and concern that Biden won't last the 4-year term or his health will deteriorate to such an extent that the vice president would be the face and the voice of the presidency or the administration moving forward. That would relegate Biden as the elected president to salutes, smiles, ribbon cutting, and sit down and wipe the dribble from your face. How very, very sad, and how horrible to state that, too. I mean, so as of late, the shining Democratic electoral vice president hope is failed Georgian gubernatorial candidate Stacey Abrams, who I've talked about before, she's anointed herself as the VP of choice and somehow convinced the Washington Post to write a puff piece on her. See, Abrams thinks that Biden has to pick a woman of color as a running mate because a woman of color represents such a large portion of the Democratic Party. Why, that makes perfect sense, doesn't it? Vote for an African-American woman because she's an African-American woman. I mean, that's all you need to know, right? Is that really the position reflective of what the Democratic Party thinks today in 2020? Not. What that is identity politics come to the ugly head and blatantly stated so, and where a pushy self-entitled candidate has the gall to dare make such a racist statement. Not to mention the left-wing media who keep putting her on TV to say it again and again. I mean, Abrams lost the Georgian election by just under 55,000 votes, and then postulated that she lost because of voter suppression, and she should be the rightful winner, complaining on TV for days, not even having the decency to concede or acknowledge what the voters' decision was. Not what I would consider as a viable candidate to bring America together. I mean, as a matter of fact, quite frankly, Stacey Abrams reminds me of Urkel's mom. You know, that's kind of what Urkel's mom would be like in a supermarket, rudely butting in front of everyone else in line because she had her car running and she determines that she has the right regardless of whatever else you think. A pushy, pompous Stacey Abrams plays the race card anytime she can, stating that she deserves a chance solely because of her race. I mean, Abrams at a campaign stop, you got to check this piece out, had the architect of race-based politics, good old Al Sharpton. He was looking up to her with those eyes in his gaunt, kind of dehydrated prune state. and he was listening while Abrams stated clearly, verbatim, that she will play the race-based election card. I mean, that's totally wrong. It's bad, and she needs to be told that. She is toxic. To any road to recovery or remedy, it just doesn't work. Being Urkel's mom is a disservice to the Democratic cause, and for the record, her race. With America recovering from a pandemic where too many have died, too many are unemployed, they're defeated and depressed, today America needs hope, not a race-based political rhetoric pusher. America needs someone who can take the reins, make the nation feel confident that they, as a leader, will lead them out of this mess and back to prosperity, normalcy, and back to what America was. The Washington Post article on Abrams is a blatant puff piece of hyperbolic propping up of a woman. You know, she was photographed in the shadows in a cape. It was backlit, as if she was going to fly in and be the savior, you know, with this Susie cream cheese description of grandiose diarrhea. I mean, where the reality is, Urkel's mom is not the answer. If Democrats really wanted to state it like it is, they would face the music. Bernie couldn't complete because America's not going to vote for a communist. Young Pete Buttigieg, like the kid bagging the groceries at the checkout, was clean cut, but he's too young. And as a president, kissing his husband on stage kissed his chances goodbye. Not fair, but the reality. Bloomberg, the rich guy, the guy who spent $400 million to get 4 votes in Guam. I mean, it was entertaining, but unelected. I am Spartacus. Remember Booker? The guy who fell on his sword? Those nauseating hearings. I mean, he was like an exasperating mosquito producing this annoying buzz that you just want to spot, you know, swat, and it was one of those electric fly swatters. Oh, and finally, this is the peach. Millionaire Native American Elizabeth Pocahontas Warren, best captured in the kitchen with your beer in hand, waving her hands and talking like a crazy woman who believes squirrels can predict the weather. I mean, you know what I'm saying here. So if you want to call it the way it is, Democrats, there's really only 2 options for a realistic candidate that could mount a challenge to the Republicans. Democrats need to take a bold step and call for Kamala Harris as the president and Amy Klobuchar as the VP. Now, if you could use the Samantha Stevens, you know, bewitched, you'd want to say that the real deal threat, that'd be Andrew Cuomo for president and Kamala Harris for VP. The real dynamic duo. But unfortunately, Cuomo has enough problems just opening New York for business and dealing with the cost and all that and all the fallout and everything. All that's going to occupy Andrew Cuomo until the next election where he can challenge Mike Pence in 2024. There's another little perfect prognostication, as they say. But imagine that, the shocker. Can you imagine that Democrats would announce that Kamala for president and Klobuchar for VP? I mean, if that was a Dems ticket, there's a formidable challenge and an honest debate on tap, packed with real political meat and a chew that you'd all be able to sit down. I'd watch that. I mean, Kamala's smart. She has a record as a woman of color who possibly has a legitimate political credential that people can talk about. I mean, she can talk. She's very pleasant, and she has a presidential presentation. She's slick. Amy Klobuchar, gritty, well-spoken, talks to real Americans. And when her campaign launched on that snowy day, she showed character and strength. She is likable. A double female ticket for the Democrats would be a radical shakeup and a realistic recognition of the retirement of Biden from his captivation. Please like and share and leave a comment. I thank you for those 2 considerations. And until next time, God bless and stay safe. We're almost there. I'm Michael A. Charbon for Below the 49.